Greetings everyone, this is your boy Curtis, aka Dr. C, checking in with you. I just wanted to drop another health video for you all, giving you real-time information as it's presented to me. And it has come to my knowledge, and according to the Washington Post, the new swine flu, the killer swine flu vaccine, will contain mercury. And this is something that I have confirmed via research, and it is true. The swine flu vaccine will contain mercury, but it will not contain mercury most likely in every dosage that is given to the American populace. Now, what you need to know about mercury, and specifically the Thimerosal that is used in vaccines, is that typically the only vaccines that still contain this particular toxic preservative, which has been linked to autism and other types of neurological disorders, are only available in flu vaccines. So most of the flu vaccines that you have on the scene that people get every so-called flu season, they do utilize this Thimerosal component. And actually some of the adult dosages that people receive during so-called flu season actually contains over 25 micrograms of mercury in them. Now EPA recommends that people get no more than 3 micrograms. So people are exposing themselves to 5 times the amount of safe levels even the government says through getting these silly vaccines. But just know that, yes, your swine flu vaccine will contain mercury. And what is being done is that usually mercury is found in the multi-dose vials that vaccine manufacturers usually sell. Some of the single-dose vials don't contain any mercury, and some of the single-dose syringes also usually do not contain any mercury. Now, some of the flu vaccines that are currently available that are utilized during the flu season, they are what is known as preservative free. And this is some word control here, because they actually do have trace amounts of mercury in these particular vaccines, but they're just very, very low. So here comes the government saying that you can call them preservative free, because they have two different terms. They have mercury free and then preservative free. So, you know, it's a complete fraud here, because it's some word control. When it's mercury free, it has, why would they need two different words? If it's mercury free, then it should contain no mercury. When it's preservative free, it still contains a preservative in it, but it's just in very low amounts. So you're being duped here, you're being hoodwinked. But just know that anytime a vaccine says preservative free, it does usually contain trace amounts of mercury in them. You can verify this by going to the government's website, CDC, and FDA. But let's talk about Thimerosal here and mercury. Now, as I mentioned to you, the multi-dose vials will contain mercury in them. And I'm basing this presumption on the fact that most of your flu vaccines that are currently available, all of them, all of the multi-dose vials, they utilize Thimerosal in them. Now, as I mentioned earlier, some of the single-dose vials and single-dose syringes for adults and children oftentimes will not contain any mercury in them whatsoever, or they'll be preservative-free. So, Thimerosal, it is essentially 49% mercury. Now, this has been linked to neurological disorders and autism. In 1982, FDA actually issued a report saying that mercury should be banned, or Thimerosal specifically should be banned from all drugs and other products available in the market due to its harm to the human body. So how this is being given to the American people under the guise of public safety and health is a complete illusion and fraud to me. Because on one end they're telling women to avoid mercury by not consuming fish and tuna, but on the other end they're giving women and children and everyone in the country mercury-based vaccines under the guise of preventing this so-called swine flu, when the virus itself has been proven to be very less deadly than we were told on the media. It has only killed a few hundred people around the world. And all these numbers that we're being given are just meant to put us in fear and to sell this particular vaccine. But just know that you will be injecting yourself with very unsafe levels of mercury by getting this particular flu vaccine. And even if it doesn't have mercury in it, even if it is Thimerosal free, most of your swine flu vaccine will also contain a component known as squalene. And this particular ingredient has been linked to Gulf War syndrome. So once again, we're dealing with neurological disorders here. It seems like every particular vaccine is available on the market, one of the main problems with them is going to be neurological disorders. It makes you autistic, or it just paralyzes you or just does all types of damage to your brain, because it actually contains chemicals and heavy metals which damage your brain, specifically aluminum and mercury. And most of your vaccines today, even if they don't have Thimerosal in them, they still have aluminum in them. And aluminum is a poison to your brain and has been linked to Alzheimer's disease. So just know, ladies and gentlemen, that, hey, if you decide to get this very toxic vaccine, just be prepared to, number one, not get any money from the government if you get hurt, and to be exposing yourselves to high levels of mercury, and ultimately for it not to work, because many of these flu vaccines have been proven to be very ineffective. And it has also been noted that the so-called seasonality of the flu is actually related to our deficiency in vitamin D. But yet you don't see the government giving people vitamin D supplements, vitamin D3 or D2, or adding more vitamin D to our food, or encouraging people to get more sunlight. They're giving us a very toxic and untested, or very least amount of tests were done on the vaccine substance to us under the guise of public health. So obviously it has nothing to do with public health. This is about making money for corporations, because hey, some of them are in down economy too. So why not sell a so-called pandemic to the American people and then come up with a solution for it? But yes, just know that if you are deficient in vitamin D, you are susceptible to over 16 types of cancer, diabetes, fibroids, and having a very weakened immune system, and also getting autoimmune diseases. So just know that it is very important to get vitamin D into your life, either via the sun or supplementation. And my latest recording on the importance of sunlight exposure and vitamin D details all the importance of vitamin D and the benefits of the sun, because it does not cause cancer. And just know that I'll do a video on that a little bit later on. But it talks about this, and if you're at a high altitude, and a host of more of information that you need to know about boosting your immune system and preventing any types of infectious diseases, because government is not going to give you this information. They want to sell you these very harmful and toxic and untested vaccines. But just know, hey, if you have vitamin D, you get enough sunlight, you'll be perfectly healthy, and you won't get any of these so-called infectious diseases, because it has been shown that people who are deficient in vitamin D, their risks for getting infectious diseases skyrockets. It has been known that for a long time. So this is your boy Curtis, aka Dr. C, checking in with you, just dropping you some information. Hey, the choice is yours, people. Get vitamin D, or get an untested vaccine. Choice is yours, but I'm just here to give you the information. So you can check out my recording and order a copy at the link up to your upper right. So have a wonderful day and be well. Peace.